Alright, so we're out here today. The mission is to catch crappie. I'm in a lake in northern Florida. I just got this boat, so I've been taking it out as often as I can. And kind of fortunately, one of the lakes nearest to my house has been a great crappie lake. So I've gotten to break in the boat, get comfortable on it, and bring home fish on a pretty regular basis to eat. So it was cold this morning. I didn't even get on the water till about 11 because of it. So far I haven't had any bites. There's not a ton of boats on the water, but I'm gonna move in a little closer to shore because it seems like from December into January, and now we're keep going through January, the fish kind of were more out in the middle of the lake. I was catching them trolling. Now they seem to be up in the lily pads. Since I haven't really had any success so far, I'm gonna get even closer to shore and see if they're staging even closer to where the creeks come in, these cedar stumps, and see if we can get one. Try something different. That spot just wasn't getting any bites. Well, casting in these lily pads is just not working. I'm not getting any bites. And there's a good amount of boats in here dipping the lily pads. I'm not seeing anybody catch anything. My guess, and I'm also seeing a lot of boats motor in, fish a little bit, leave. Everyone's moving around a lot, which tells me they're not catching fish either. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out to deeper water. I suspect with this colder weather we've been having, the fish might have moved out of this 3 to 5 feet of water and into some deeper stuff. Not a whole lot of deep water here, but I'm just gonna move offshore a little bit more, get into at least 5.5, 6 feet of water, and try to troll around 0.8, 0.9 miles an hour. All right, so I was just getting my rod set up for trolling. Literally just cast out and already got, we'll keep our crappie here. They get bigger than that, but he's on the borderline. It's been a slow day, so we're gonna keep it. There he is. Not huge. Oh, I'll probably let him go. Maybe there's another one in here. Oh, just missed one. Alright, alright. Something ate the tail off of this thing. See that? I don't think a crappie would do that. Alright, well this is going to be the last thing that I try, because I've fished spots where I've caught them before, fished spots that are new, I've trolled, I've casted for them. I don't know, the water's started today 50 degrees, it's up to 51 now, so it's pretty cold for down here in Florida, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. Most of the boats I've seen are either dipping the lily pads or they're just anchored and bobber fishing minnows, but I haven't seen anybody catch anything. Oh, all right. There's a bite. Let's see if he hits again. Alright, so I'm back at home. I've got the one crappie that I kept filleted. What I do with the crappie is I take the scales off, just use a spoon, and you can just, the scales come right off. That way when you fillet it, you're not trimming the skin, and the skin's got, on a crappie's got a really mild flavor. It just allows you to keep as much of the meat as possible. So that's what we're looking at as far as crappie fillets. And what I'm gonna do with it is create, or not create, but cook up what's become one of my favorite recipes for fish, which is a chili lime fish. And so the first step of that is getting rice going. So in a rice cooker, I've got a half a cup of rice with a cup of water, and the rice is just about done. And so that's kind of the first step. We're gonna make the rice, kind of embellish it a little bit by adding toasted sesame seeds as well as some honey and sesame oil. The next step then is to toast sesame seeds. So what I like to do is get a small frying pan, get it up to medium-high heat, and then I'm just gonna add, I don't know, roughly 2 teaspoons of sesame seeds. And those will heat up. You'll begin to smell them. They'll have that fragrant sesame seed smell. It's kind of a nutty, warm, flavorful smell. And actually the seeds will start popping off the pan. Once you get a few seeds popping off the pan, they're toasting pretty well, so that's when I turn back the heat. But these are just black sesame seeds. Regular sesame seeds work as well. They're starting to smoke, and some of them are starting to pop, so just give it a little shake. That's how easy it is to toast sesame seeds. The rice has about 2 minutes on it left. Set the toasted sesame seeds aside and start preparing the ingredients for the sauce. So what I'll do is heat up 2 teaspoons of sesame oil in a large saucepan, and we're gonna saute about 2 teaspoons of minced garlic and 2 teaspoons of minced ginger and some red pepper flakes. So I just use some sesame oil. When you're buying sesame oil, I try to stay away from the stuff that says refined. I feel like it doesn't have as much flavor as something that says like pure sesame oil or hasn't been refined. It's about 2 teaspoons. And we'll just turn up the heat. We'll get it medium-high heat, just enough to saute some ginger and garlic. Got the ginger and garlic minced up, so we'll add that to the pan. And then just as much red pepper flakes as you like, adds a little spice. Get stirred up. Sesame oil and ginger are very fragrant. So once the oil gets up to temp and it starts sauteing, I just let it go for about 2 minutes just to kind of soften the ginger, basically. And while that's going, we'll get the crappie ready. So in a cast iron skillet here, I like to heat up about, you know, 1/8 of an inch of oil with a high smoke point. Right now I've got canola, but probably my favorite is peanut oil, but we'll go ahead and do that. It's just your standard canola oil. I can hear the aromatics here starting to sizzle, so I'll just give them a mix. Again, this doesn't have to go for too long. So for this recipe, kind of to give it that Asian feel and taste, but also because I'm trying to stay away from gluten and wheat flour, we'll just be using cornstarch to coat the fish and fry it. So you don't need a ton, just enough to kind of coat the fish. Just put a little in a bowl. It's really starting to smell gingery in here. I love that smell. Now with the crappie, before I coat it in the cornstarch, I'm just gonna lightly salt it. And then when you're tossing it in the cornstarch, get a good even coating, but you don't want it caked on there. So you're just kind of rolling it around. Make sure it's coated all around, but shake off the excess. While the oil's heating up, if you just let the cornstarch or whatever breading that you're using dry a little bit, it'll adhere better while it's cooking. All right, so now with the crappie breaded, we want to make sure that canola oil gets up to high heat. That'll cook the crappie without drying it out, but still give it that crispy outer coating that we're looking for to soak up this sauce. I'm going to turn down the heat because there's more stuff I got to prepare for the sauce, but we don't want that to, especially the garlic, we don't want that to burn. So now in another mixing bowl, I'm going to prepare the rest of the ingredients for the sauce. First thing we need is 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Next we need 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. I like to add about 1 teaspoon of coriander. Just kind of play it by eyeball here. And then we need 1/3 cup of water. Give that a good mix. That brown sugar will dissolve once we get it back on the heat. So bring my aromatics back over, turn that heat back up, and then we're just going to add this mixture to the garlic and ginger and pepper flakes. What we're looking for here is basically to cook the sauce down so that the sugar dissolves and it begins to thicken a little bit. So we're kind of doing several things at once. Now the oil, canola oil, is up to heat. I can tell because it's starting to it's got a sheen to it and it's kind of moving around in the pan. When you add the fish, it should start sizzling right away. If it doesn't, then your oil's not up to temp. We'll just let that cook a few minutes on each side. The last ingredient that's going to go into the sauce is fresh lime juice. So I'm just gonna cut a lime in half, squeeze each half of the lime into the sauce. Once we got it kind of, the brown sugar all dissolved and got it off the heat a little bit. If you add the lime juice while it's like still simmering, it's gonna take away the acidity and that bite of that fresh lime juice that we're looking for. So don't add the lime until you've got the sauce pretty much where you want it before you're gonna add the fish. So this is what the sauce is looking like. See that water is evaporating off. That's gonna help it thicken up. So you use the water to dissolve the sugar, but then you want to kind of evaporate some of that water off to thicken the sauce. Go ahead and flip the crappie fillets. Now with the cornstarch, you're not going to get that real dark golden brown color. Cornstarch doesn't change color as much while it's cooking. So you're just going to get a very light golden brown. But if you're familiar with frying fish, you kind of know about how long it takes to cook the fish through, and that's mainly what we're doing here. So while this is going, the last thing we're going to do is finish up the rice. A thing I forgot to mention and I forgot to do, because I don't often cook fish with the skin on, is to cook the side of the fish that doesn't have the skin first. Because the skin, when it hits the heat, shrivels up, and then when you go to flip it, there's an uneven surface. So do the opposite of what I did, and that'll keep it from curling. I'm going to turn the heat down on the sauce. Add the lime juice. I love that lime flavor. Now we're just going to add the fish. You know, you see the fillet, it doesn't get a real dark golden brown. It's very light. Whoops. Got that added to the sauce. And we'll just kind of roll it around, flip it over. So this is what it looks like then once you got the fish added. I kind of broke that fillet, but it's just a really nice looking dish. And we're gonna come over here to the rice. So this is the rice, I pulled it out of the rice cooker. Just gonna add, you know, I don't know, about maybe a tablespoon of honey. Just regular honey. And then I'm gonna grab that sesame oil again. Just a little bit. The main thing this does, I mean, it adds flavor, but also keeps the rice from sticking to the pan or to the pot. And then we've got our toasted sesame seeds. So we'll just add those in. So once you've got it mixed, you know, you've got this nice looking dish with the white rice, a little bit of brown from the honey and the sesame oil, and the black sesame seeds. All right, so I've got a plate of my rice. Add the fish. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is take a spoon, take a lot of that sauce, and add it so it kind of soaks up into the rice. Get those little ginger bits and garlic. Garnish with a couple lime wedges. And then one of my favorite ingredients in like Asian rice type of dishes is Korean gochujang sauce. So I'm just gonna add some of that. It's the last thing. All right, there you have it. You know, I just love this dish. I'm gonna get under the light a little bit better here. You know, chili lime fish. I've done it with speckled trout. This time I'm doing it with crappie. But I basically think any white flesh fish that you would fry, You know, cook it with some cornstarch and do the Asian sauce like that, and you're gonna have an outstanding dish. Let me try a bite here. Still crispy with the cornstarch. Man, that's good. Get a little more fresh lime juice on there. A little spicy with the red pepper flakes and the gochujang. Even though I only caught one keeper yesterday, it's a dish like this that'll make you go back on the water as often as you can. Man. It's kind of a complicated recipe, but it's totally worth it. Well, give this a shot. See what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think if you try this recipe. And good luck on the water.